Today we're gonna make beef rouladen. This is an amazing rolled beef dish. It's a German recipe, perfect for Oktoberfest, which is coming up soon. Here are all the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. Okay, I always like to go over the ingredients. It helps me, but more importantly, it helps you. This is an amazing, delicious dish. I can't say it enough. I mean, I honestly think I like this more than the Italian version, beef braciole, or beef involtini. And the reason I mention braciole is because if you live in New York, New Jersey, you will probably be able to buy beef cutlets for braciole. Now, if you can't find that, and I will show you, you just buy a top round, because all this is top round sliced thin. We'll just take the top round ourselves and we can just cut it into thin slices. That's all you have to do. And I'm gonna show you how to do it because I don't want you to be like, Jim, I can't find this, I can't make it. You cut this thin and we'll pound it out if need be. So the exact amount of beef rolls will just be dependent on the size you have and all that. But I recommend 2 pounds of beef total will be fine for 4 people. We'll also have a half a pound of bacon that's going to go into our beef rolls. I feel like a big piece here, I'm guaranteed to get a certain amount for each roll. You could even keep the pieces completely whole. And we're just gonna like par cook that before we put it into the rolls. Pickles, I have dill pickles here, okay? You're putting a pickle in each one. So good, so interesting, very different to me than anything that I'm accustomed to. I've made this a few times now with different pickles. It tastes great, really any pickle I've used. So I would just use like kind of your favorite pickle for it. Also, it has mustard. We're gonna put a nice layer of German mustard. I'm just using spicy German mustard, which is delicious, but you could use yellow mustard, Dijon mustard, they will all work. That's in the stuffing. So that's like we put a nice spread of the mustard and then we're gonna layer this, and then this, which is just, we're gonna saute up onion, carrot, and celery. I just have 1 large onion that I finely diced. I finely diced 2 medium carrots, and I finely diced 2 celery ribs. Okay, so that's everything for that stuffing. After we stuff them, we'll just close them up and we will sear them off, and then we will make a delicious sauce. And the sauce is very simple. It just has beef stock. Now, if you have a very rich beef stock, like if you have a homemade beef stock, this is the time to use it for this dish. And you can use my recipe, I'll link it. It's on our website for all the homemade stocks, everything that you could ever want. Right here, I want to do it the way that most of you are going to have to do. So I bought 2 quarts of no sodium beef stock. This was just the College Inn brand. So that's 8 cups we have here. I'm going to power reduce this to 4 cups. Okay, so we want to cut it in half. It'll thicken up, it'll concentrate. Now, boxed stock is never really good. So what we can do is after we do that, we can put in a little bit of low sodium beef base. I want you to use no sodium though to do this. If you use regular, like even low sodium beef stock and you reduce it, you get into the point where it's very salty. So if you have a homemade stock, no salt, this is the time to use it. In addition to that stock, we're going to use 1 cup of dry red wine, 3 heaping tablespoons of tomato paste, and then a 1/4 cup of flour. I also have a little parsley for garnish. This is not a hard recipe. It's just a couple steps you got to do. Turn this up to high. So I'm putting the 8 cups of that no sodium beef stock into this pot, and we're going to bring it to a boil and we're going to reduce it in half. How do you know what's reduced in half? I'll show you. This is my spoon. That's the length of it right here. Okay, put it in. It's right there. Just put your finger right at the edge there. Right there is where we are right now. So we need to go to about here to reduce in half. Very scientific, right? I'm gonna move this off to the side and reduce it. We're gonna fillet the beef right now. Just use the sharpest knife you have. Just straighten it with your steel, okay? Just like this. Just back and forth, okay? Want it to like kind of stop here. Okay, it's pretty sharp, pretty sharp. Okay, and just put your hand down on it and then start going. Now, my knife is very sharp. You can see how easy I'm able to go through here. Now, I just want to keep kind of pretty tight to the top. Just watch your knife so it doesn't cut you. So like you can see like that. It's pretty good. We'll just pound this out a little bit. There. But you need to have a sharp knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, you will not be able to do this. This last one, there's no way I'm going to be able to go through that. So I will pound this out. But with this is about, it was just 1.5 pounds. We get 3 nice big rolls here, and then I have another like 6 there. 2.5 pounds of beef is gonna be perfect for 4 people. Okay, I love Costco, but one thing I don't love about Costco is this big box of plastic wrap. It's only 12-inch wide wrap. I laid 2 pieces of plastic here. Okay, and it's gonna take me 2 pieces to do this. I'm not gonna be able to enclose it on both sides. Best if you use a solid cutting board here, not on plastic. You won't get the right feedback. Now, because this was about 2 pounds, the biggest one I could find on Amazon. It weighed a lot. Just look at your piece. Like this is right over here is a little bit fatter than in here, so I'm gonna pound that more. I like to go for about a 1/4 inch thick. That's what I'm aiming for, but if you go too thin, you might go through it. All right, this is probably a little long here at the edge, so I'll just trim this up. And then you know, the leftover pieces, you can save that for like sauce or something, like Sunday sauce. Beef is just off to the side. I just put plastic wrap over it just to keep it, you know, like fresh over here. You could do this all like prep it ahead of time too if you like. This is a 14-inch cast iron pan. I'm gonna use this for everything here. We're gonna make the stuffing, we're gonna sear the beef in here, and we're gonna cook it in the oven in this pan. I'm gonna heat this up to about medium heat. This bacon I just cut into these fairly large pieces. And all I'm going to do here is cook this bacon about halfway. That's it. I need to render some of this. I need to get some of the fat out of it for our sauteing and everything. About 5 minutes, I'd say. The recipe just says cook the bacon to halfway. It doesn't matter though if you do a 1/4 way. We just need to get fat out of it right now. Or if you have a whole bunch of lard that you saved, then you can just go straight with raw bacon in the rolls. So I've just been taking out pieces that have cooked a little bit more, like those. You can just take everything out now. We have plenty of fat in the pan. And I'm just gonna put it on this paper towel lined 1/4 baking sheet. Just gonna knock the heat down to about a 3 out of 10 right now temporarily. I want to take a lot of this fat out because we're gonna use this fat to cook the rouladen later. Let's get all of our vegetables in. Use a little bit of salt here, just a touch, to help get some water out. And we're gonna let these cook until they get nice and soft, about 10 minutes. Okay, so this has been about 10 minutes. That's how they look. I just need to soften them up so I'm not putting like raw vegetables in there. Though if you do, it will still be all right because it's gonna be braising in the oven for a long time. I want to remove all these vegetables just to a bowl. In the recipe, I combined the bacon and this together, but I think it's better to keep your like partially cooked bacon separately, just so we can get a certain amount of bacon for each roll. My stock has reduced to 4 cups. About. It's maybe a touch more, 4.5 cups, but you have to use a little bit of your head here when you cook because I'm not gonna give you recipes by this brand of stock. You know, if you live in a different part of the country, you might not be able to get it. And they all will be different, okay? Not beefy enough still after reducing it by half. I'm just gonna use my secret weapon. If I use this to make 4 cups, probably saltiness, maybe a little too much. Just put in about 1 to 2 teaspoons and like we'll mix it and we'll get it the exact beefiness that we want. Just make sure it's completely dissolved before you start judging if it's good enough yet. Now, I know this is because I did this the other day with the exact same proportions. Right away, that makes it better. Okay, we have 8 pieces. I have 4 laid out because my cutting board is not 40 inches long, but I want to season these with salt and then pepper too. Okay, and then use a thin layer of mustard. That oven is 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Set up your oven for 325. That's the temperature we're gonna braise it at. So the recipe just says mustard. I'm not telling you the exact amount. It's gonna depend on the size of the meat you have, how much you're gonna need. I'm taking a strip like this, and I'm just gonna get it coated everywhere. It's gonna give great flavor to mustard, but it's also gonna allow our filling to stick a little bit better. Here's the filling that we have from before. So just remember, since I have 4 more, just use about half of this right now. That's all you have to do. Again, I'm just splitting it in half, the filling. You're better off having a little bit more filling than you need than not having enough. The pickles. Get yourself a bunch of toothpicks. This makes it easier than using string. So just like this, just shove it all in there, okay? Pull the meat over, and I just toothpick it one way and toothpick it the other way. These are some big rolls. The ones I made the other day were smaller. I think I got 12 the other day. Today I have 8.
Yeah, these are big.
I have my pan heating up right now to medium heat. Okay, bacon fat. There's a lot of salt in this dish, so you don't need to season the other side of these with more salt and pepper. All I would do is before you stick them down, just kind of give it a little bit of a pat dry here, and then just right down. And I'm just gonna do 2 batches here, just so I'm not crowding. So just keep doing the other side, all sides, as much as best you can, but you don't have to really go crazy. And then we'll pull them out and we'll do the second batch. And you know, I have more bacon fat. If you run out of bacon fat, use some like just oil, you'll be fine. I put the second batch down. I'm adding more oil as needed. Here's the last 3. These ones are a little bit better than the other ones. Okay, there they are. Just stick them off to the side, and then, you know what, I'm turning it off the pan for a second. Now put the tomato paste in. Just, again, try to push that oil towards the center of the pan. I want to just fry this paste just for like a minute or 2, 3 to get some of the flavor out of it, remove some of that tinniness. And I have the pan off right now, so would start burning right away. You could turn the heat up now to about a 3 or 4 out of 10. Just put a little bit of water in here too, and that's just gonna slow down any burning process. 1/4 cup of flour. Okay, and I will add a little bit more of that water too. Just cook the flour out until you don't see white specks anymore. Cup of dry red wine. Now you can turn the heat up to high. And we'll whisk this in. Do not worry if you have any lumps. They're all going to be taken out when you cook this in the oven for a long time, but you can try to remove them right now. And you just need to cook this wine for about 1 minute. You don't need to reduce this liquid. You're just trying to get some of that heavy alcohol flavor off, smell out. And then here is that 4 cups of the super reduced stock that we made. This is simmering now. I'm just going to turn it pretty low. You can almost turn it off at this point. I don't recommend you season with salt and pepper here. It's just, you're gonna get reduction in the oven. There's a lot of salt in that bacon, on the meat. Everything is gonna flavor it. You risk having something that is ultra salty then after it reduces. So I'm just gonna put all these rolls back in here. Don't forget all the pan juices from the searing. And I just like to take a little bit of these juices and just get it on top of the rolls. So we have a 325 degree oven, and we're gonna cover this completely, very tightly. So I recommend you use foil. Also, just give your pan a wipe, the top, all that splashing fat and everything. This is gonna go in the oven. Just lock it in, okay? It's just gonna give you a really good braise at 325. Cook this about 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes. Check it for tenderness. It will be perfect in that time. Okay, it's been an hour, so that looks really good. I want to just check it for tenderness. So a simple way is just use 2 forks like this, and then you can just kind of dig in here. I think you can eat it this way, but I would probably go for another 20 minutes, probably like a total of 90 minutes is good. So I will tell you with top round, really no matter what, when you're braising it, it's gonna get it tender, but it will also dry out somewhat. And that's why when you do top round, whether it's brajol in regular tomato sauce or rouladen in this delicious braising sauce, you have a sauce for it. I'm gonna put it back for about another 30 minutes. Okay, so that was another 30. I think we'll be good now. Again, let's just check for tenderness, nice and tender. Let's grab these out of here. And it's really easy that we have just the toothpicks to remove them. That's why I like the toothpicks. It just makes it a lot simpler at the end. All right, there's our platter. Get really small tongs, like you can have even smaller tongs in this, just like this. And if you keep a lot of pressure right near the meat area like this, you just go like this, and then you can pull them off very easily. Okay, they're all removed. Just take that foil that you had and just keep your beef warm. I just want to let you know, like any braised beef recipe, really anything, soup, stew, whatever, this will be much better the next day. Let's get the sauce on here. Now you can check right away, just take a whisk in here, go like this, and this is even after a 1/4 cup of flour, it just did not do the trick. It didn't do the trick at all. And let me show you what I want, because I actually have leftover sauce from the other batch I made the other day. Just turn this up to about medium high, and then get a 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and a tiny bit of water, slurry. Just mix this together. And last time it took me 1 1/2, I think, a little bit more than a tablespoon. once it starts bubbling, the cornstarch will activate, start absorbing the liquid, expanding, and it will get very thick quickly. I'm gonna need a little bit more of this. If you've been cooking long enough, you've used too much cornstarch at some point and have made your sauce like super thick. So if you did that, you can then thin the other way with some water or some stock. That's good. Now let's taste this to make sure salt, pepper's okay. Great, no more salt. I'm gonna lower that heat, put in a touch of pepper. You can add these right back in there, or you can put sauce on top of here too. I kind of like it on top. It looks really good. And this remaining sauce you can use for all your potatoes and everything else. This looks familiar, right?
I love this.
You love it? Well, let's let people know how this version is.
I love all the October stuff, like
Oktoberfest,
yeah.
By the way, if you're wondering where this cabbage came from, and that's just a boiled potato, I made this the other night, so we had leftover cabbage. I always love the red cabbage. It's one of my favorite things. The recipe for that will be linked here as well. It's very simple to make.
I got it a little.
Yes. If you put it in the fridge overnight and then you reheat it again, they cut better too. So you got a nice piece of bacon there too in there, right?
Mm-hmm. I love bacon, and I love pickles. And I love the meat that's on the outside. But I never would have thought that would go so good together, but it does. This is a 10. Everything, I don't know what it's called.
He's speechless.
Like
He's like...
I'm just gonna call it German Brajol.
German Brajol.
And...
it's beef rolls, just German beef rolls.
Yeah, beef rolls.
Rouladen.
The rouladen and the cabbage. And even the potato. It's all really good.
You're supposed to do potato dumplings, which more involved than a boiled potato. So, but I think mashed potatoes would be a good happy medium. How could you make this better? What could you put in the beef to make it better?
Nothing. It's 10 out of 10.
Listen, as he's gobbling this up, I just want to let you know on Patreon, we have a Patreon. We are doing full recipe videos now. So that means like for this one, it would have been, oh, I make the cabbage, the beef, and like say the potato dumplings. We're actually a full meal, as Tara would say. We're doing those once a month, probably twice a month, and they're gonna be more laid back than these videos. So if you like our banter and you enjoy this, there'll be more of that. But you know, you'll still get all the instructions and whatnot. We're also gonna do one live, basically, kind of like a hangout, a Zoom hangout once a month too. So it's something I wanted to do for a while. So anyway, the Patreon is always, that's in the description too, if you're interested. But either way, we appreciate you watching and we will see you next time.